The wind carried dust across the empty road like whispers of stories, long buried beneath the prairie. It was the kind of wind that made a person feel small, the kind that reminded folks that out here in the wild frontier, survival was earned every single day. Clara Whitmore stood alone on the porch of the weathered farmhouse, her hands resting on the railing her late husband had built years ago. The wood was rough under her fingers, worn down by time and storms. Everything around her reminded her of him. The barn he painted red every spring, the fence posts he hammered into stubborn earth, and the quiet evenings they used to spend watching the sun melt behind the mountains. But that life had ended 6 months ago. A band of outlaws had come riding through the valley like a thunderstorm with guns. Her husband Samuel had tried to protect the ranch, protect their land, protect her. He never stood a chance. Since that day, Clara had been surviving rather than living. The ranch demanded constant work, animals to feed, repairs to make, crops to tend. But loneliness was the heaviest burden she carried. And today, something in the air felt different. The sound came first. Hoofbeats. Slow, steady. Clara narrowed her eyes toward the dirt road stretching across the valley. A rider appeared in the distance, a dark silhouette against the golden afternoon sun. As he drew closer, details began to emerge. A tall man, broad shoulders, a weathered leather hat pulled low over his brow. The horse beneath him moved with calm confidence, like it trusted its rider completely. When the stranger finally reached the gate, he swung down from the saddle with the effortless ease of someone who had spent half his life riding. Clara's grip tightened on the railing. Strangers rarely came through these parts anymore, especially not alone. The man stepped forward slowly, dust clinging to his boots and coat. His face carried the rough marks of a life spent outdoors, a strong jaw, a faint scar across his cheek, and eyes that had clearly seen more than most men ever should. For a moment neither of them spoke. Then he tipped his hat slightly. "Afternoon, ma'am." His voice was deep and calm, the kind of voice that carried authority without effort. Clara didn't return the smile. "What do you want?" The stranger studied her for a moment, not in a rude way, more like he was trying to understand something. "Just passing through," he said. "Heard this valley used to have the best water and the safest barns between here and the ridge. Used to." He noticed the tension in her voice. "And now folks mind their business and keep moving." The man glanced at the ranch buildings, the livestock grazing nearby, and the fence that clearly needed repairs. "You running this place alone?" "That's not your concern." He gave a quiet nod, respecting the answer. "Name's Cole," he said. "Cole Bennett!" Clara didn't respond, but inside something stirred, a mixture of caution and curiosity. There was something about this man that felt different from the drifters who sometimes wandered through frontier towns. He didn't look desperate. He looked capable, and capable men could be dangerous. Cole leaned slightly against the porch post. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "this place looks like it could use another pair of hands." "I'm not hiring." "Didn't say you were." Clara studied him carefully. "Then why are you here?" Cole met her eyes with a calm, confident expression. "Because sometimes a place finds a man before the man finds the place." Before Clara could respond, a distant gunshot cracked through the valley. Both of them turned instantly toward the sound. Cole's eyes hardened. "That doesn't sound friendly." Clara's stomach dropped. She knew that sound too well. Another shot echoed. Then another. The same men who had taken her husband had been circling the valley again in recent weeks. Ranchers were disappearing. Livestock stolen. Houses burned. The outlaws had returned. Cole slowly placed his hat back on his head. "You expecting company?" Clara shook her head. "No." He studied the horizon for a moment. Then he said something that made Clara pause. "Good." She frowned. "Why good?" A small smile crossed his face. "Because trouble's a lot easier to handle when it's not invited." And for the first time in months, Clara felt something she hadn't felt since her husband died. Hope.